So, as I'm unsure whether this is going to be the beginning of a video or the part way through of another one. Hi, I'm TechDave, and today we are looking at overclocking the T430 that I just upgraded with 2133 MHz RAM and a quad-core 8-thread turbostar 3.8 GHz CPU. And I'm a bit nervous about this next phase, so wish me luck with it. But basically the plan is to... Where's my mouse? Why is it not working? There we go. Plan is to use a BIOS mod called 1vyrain. So what I'm going to do is go to this website, and then we need to look for IV prep first. Here we are. All I have to do is click here. So first, here we're in the eVrain page. I'm going to downgrade BIOS. I'm going to download the eVrain image. So first we're on IV prep. I hit security UEFI BIOS update option. So I'll go through all this. It probably won't be visible. So I'm in the BIOS of the T430, which you will see here post haste, and I've set it to, well, it was already set to this, but the instructions on IV prep said to set in the security tab, flash updated by end users enabled, secure rollback prevention disabled. So once you've done that, exit, save changes. Right, so I've downloaded IV prep and I'm going to run downgrade.bat now. Hopefully, close this. Hopefully this works. Press enter. Yep. I'm really nervous about this. It was fine last time though. It's on power, it's got full battery. I'm sort of showing you what it looks like when you're doing it. Oh, I'm so nervous. There we go. Okay, I assume it's meant to be doing this. Flashing done. BIOS update successful. System will shut down and reboot in 5 seconds. And then when it reboots, I'm just going to wait for the splash screen. See the BIOS version. It is UEFI BIOS version 2.64. Okay, so that looks good. I'll be back in Windows. Next phase is to go to 1vyrain and download the image of eVrain. Now, I'm going to clarify right now, not only do I not take responsibility for if you break your machine or fuck it up by not following the instructions correctly, I am simply demonstrating it working, because it might fuck up my computer. Do you know what I mean? Pardon my French, pardon my swearing, but it might mess up my computer. So I've got no guarantees here at all. I'm going to get Rufus as well. Download rufus.ie 3.12. Run. And that's the eVrain thing down there. So we've got Linux Mint installed there. Wait, what am I doing? So you've got a drive there. So you need a USB stick for this, obviously, because you're going to flash the image. So there's eVrain. boot in UEFI, yep, MBR, and it should come up with a thing here, right in DD mode. Okay, I don't know if you can see that. And then we flash that. I'm extremely nervous about this, but the potential outcome of it is that I can clock the CPU, overclock the CPU. Now I don't know whether that's even a good idea, but I'm going to do it for the video and see what issues or potential non-issues there are with it. So I'm just going to be back when this is finished flashing. So we're going to have a moment of truth moment now. If everything went correctly, when I boot from this USB, it will install iVyrain to my T430. Make sure you've got a battery and the power plugged in before you do it. If you decide to do this, plug it in. I'm literally shaking. I did it fine last time, but we'll see how it goes. So boot up, press F12. No, okay, that failed, so let's do it one more time. Shut down Windows. Just didn't quite get there in time. There's my Windows install. Shut down anyway. So in theory, if everything goes as it should, let's see, I'll get that lined up while I'm chatting to a nice viewing angle. Everything should work. Onky Dory. F12. No. Okay, well, I'll be back once I've managed to get it to not boot into Windows. Alright, I changed it to UEFI boot first in BIOS, which I can show you about in a bit if that's what I need to be done. Booting from SanDisk Cruiser Force. Looks like it's finally working. Right, you didn't necessarily see this, but off camera this has happened plenty of times. Oh shit. Ethernet. Ethernet. Detected compatible file, yes. Enter key to attempt BIOS exploit. Right. Okay, I don't know whether you can see that very well, but I'm going to press enter. It's going to suspend, it's going to do the jailbreak. Pray for me. Pray for me. Press the power button to wake it up. Remember it said that. Oh dear. This is already dead. Press the power button to wake it up. There we go. Looks like flash BIOS. Please enter a choice. 1. Please enter to begin flashing your jailbroken BIOS. Do not let the Thinkpad shut off during this process. We need a hardware programmer to fix it. Let's just double check. Plugged in, we've got battery as well. The moment of truth. I'm going to leave it running so you can experience the horrifying tension with me. Erasing and writing flash check says at the bottom there. Just breathe. Remember to breathe. Okay. Done. Verifying flash. All done. Press enter key to restart your Thinkpad. Okay. Wish me luck. So we're going to press enter, go into the BIOS, see if we've got the advanced menu. Should be a real-time clock error. Don't need that anymore. Into BIOS. Yep, that's fine. Escape to F1 to enter setup. So we've got 2.82 and we have the advanced menu. Yay! Now the overclocking side of things is very strange, but let's see, we still got hasn't killed any of my devices, I don't think. Save changes. Let's see if it boots into Windows 10, make sure it's not killed my SSD. Drum roll please. Oh, boot loop. Powered off. Not a good sign. I think it did say it would do this though. It would boot loop one time. It's booting into Windows 10! Champion! Another successful ivyrain mod. So now, in theory, the ivyrain is complete. The question is, how do we overclock? I know it's something to do with the advanced menu, and we shall discover it together. I shall return. I shall return with everything set up properly with screen capture, and then show you how it all looks when you do the overclocking. Inaccessible boot device. That's not good. Blue screen of death. Where? So currently it's not, I think it might have damaged my Windows 10 install, but I didn't say anything about the SSD not being mountable, and you can see it's reading from it because it's opening Windows. But I should have known something would go wrong, because it might damage my SATA SSD, and I thought that was just a fluke and I was gonna disconnect the SSD, but I didn't because I'm a fool. So yeah, disconnect your SSD before booting ivyrain, or any drives really. That is my recommendation. Yeah, it says inaccessible boot device, so it's probably fucked my SSD, pardon my French, but I'm very annoyed about it. So where I'm at the moment, as you'll be able to see now, I had to refresh Windows, so like recover Windows, but it looks like it didn't damage the SSD, just the file system basically. It corrupted the drive, but corrupted the operating system, but not the drive. So once I've got that back to basics, basically just completely installed, then I'll go on with the process. But just if anyone's doing this, I would highly recommend to disconnect all drives before you do the ivyrain BIOS mod. Then it should resolve that issue. So considerable progress has been made, as you can possibly see now. So I haven't done the overclock yet, but the BIOS modification worked perfectly. So this is now overclockable, but has not yet been overclocked, because you need to use something called throttle stop. I need to do a bit more research before I really attempt that, but what I have done for now is resoldered the joint that connects the eGPU to the HDMI cable here, and I've just set up, after adjusting it and get it working through soldering, the 2GB 750 Ti. So in theory I have a working eGPU set up now, and I don't have to wait for one to arrive in the post. So this monitor is coming out of this and also going into the capture card over there for so you can see the screen, which would be like this, and then this monitor is just running off the dock that the T430 is in as a via VGA. So that's That's absolutely fine. So it installed, it works perfectly. So I'm probably now going to benchmark the 8 gig graphics card. I just need to get down under there, get it out of my desktop, get the power supply, get it plugged into here, get it all set up, and then we'll be able to see some benchmarks and performance updates or upgrades in terms of how bottlenecked the GPU is. Hey, I'm Italiano. So yeah, I'm going to do that, but we've got the eGPU working. That is the thing that I primarily wanted to do. So obviously for me this has been hours of work, but for you that would have been just a brief cut between me being frustrated and this. So as I've said probably too many times in this video, I shall return when the next phase has begun. So yeah, just to sort of capture something or other, I've got as you can see now, we've got my 8 gig graphics card and power supply hooked up via eGPU, and it hasn't failed when it's working. So we actually want to get graphics, AMD 400 series, 400 series, 480, submit. I don't know whether you can see what I'm doing properly, but I'm just downloading the latest AMD drivers for the RX 480. Now the reason I'm so excited about this, and I'm putting it in the video definitely, is obviously because it's on brand, because I just constantly make eGPU videos, but also I did a bottleneck calculator which I'll show you once it's up and running. I did a bottleneck calculator for the graphics card and the CPU. Now other than the fact that it's a laptop CPU, it actually put in that it was like 5%. Oh, my mouse has disappeared. That's not a good sign. Something crashed. I don't quite know what crashed, but something crashed. Nothing's happening, nothing's happening. A lot of people in the audience look pissed. I'll be right back. My inclination was to believe that it was something to do with this. And we want to put the express card to, I don't know whether you can see what I'm doing. I'm changing the express card to generation 1 just to see if that's why it wasn't stable. You can do that in the BIOS. It takes a matter of seconds. And fingers crossed now, it'll not crash this time. Because it was all working fine and then it crashed out during a download, so I don't quite know what caused that. But with this eGPU before, and this exact graphics card and power supply, I've always had to put it to generation 1 in the express card speed in the BIOS. Let's just have a look, see. Oh, and we have on-screen video as well. So now we can switch to camera 2. There we go. And let's just... yeah, so it's basically just a driver install. There's not much exciting to show you, other than the fact that, look, we have the eGPU working. We've got the 8 gig graphics card, we've got the T430 all hooked up. Just installing the correct drivers so it functions appropriately. And unfortunately there's no change in the generation required for the eGPU in terms of the express card speed, but I kind of knew that was going to happen. That's to be expected because this is the same eGPU I was using before and I always had to do that. So see you soon. So we are ready now to run Passmark, but I'll just switch over to the capture card. My head's a bit in the way, so I'll move myself over here. If you look at this chart, basically what I've done, I've installed the AMD drivers, I've gone to performance and tuning, and then I've set it to manual, and I've done the same thing with this card on my desktop as well, just because it had a setting where the fans just weren't working at all, and that was actually kind of problematic. So I made a much more aggressive curve here, but still not like ridiculous. In fact, let's get that a bit more up like that, so we really get some performance out of it. And I've upped the power limit to 20, and that's all I've done really. I was gonna put the power limit up a bit higher, but I don't know whether that's actually safe. But a kind of fan wise, I've tuned the fan quite heavily. I'm leaving the GPU tuning and the clock speed just manual, but that's just something to bear in mind. I'm going to keep that off screen. You won't be able to see it, but I will, just to make sure that I can see what kind of performance we're getting. There's Task Manager there, so I'm going to close that. I really want to watch the oomph and like how intense it uses the GPU, which you'll be able to see through the camera here. So I'm getting like quite a lot of GPU utilization. I don't quite know why that is. I think it's just because I've got this window open, but I'm going to run the benchmark now using Passmark and see what kind of performance we are getting with, because it's saying 72 degrees on the CPU there. That's kind of concerning me a little bit. And CPU is 50, GPU is 51, so I might need to open her up and reinvestigate whether my thermal paste was any good. But let's just see what happens, basically. And I'm going to mute myself and get rid of my face as well, so you can just, wrong one, you can just enjoy a sped up version of this. So here we are, hello, and you can see we've got a Passmark rating of 1794.9. There was an issue, it's actually like lower, or no, it's 1% higher than it was before, but there was an issue during this where the overclock, well, the manual fan tuning settings that I put in there shut down, so it really bothered me a little bit, and I think it's affected the score as well. So the next thing I want to do, you see we're nearly in the yellow, but not quite. The next thing I need to do is basically shut this program down, get the CPU fan clocked a little bit better, and then set up on here again, because I had it all tuned to manual and it's gone down to 0 for no reason. Fine tuning controls, so we want a little bit of fan all the time, a little bit of fan all the time, and the fan isn't on the GPU, so that's somewhat of a cause for concern. I don't quite know why it's like so unresponsive with the fan. It's clock speed down to 300 as well, which is confusing as hell, basically. Retiming, automatic, that's control disabled. Now just quickly, just to test something, I adjusted the fan settings. I used virtual super resolution to go up to 4K, and I'm running all the graphics tests again just to see if there's any difference, so that's why it looks tiny on the screen. I'm just wondering if there's any issues with the GPU that might be rectified. And the CPU was running pretty hot, but I changed over to high performance setting in Windows Power Management options, so hopefully that will have some impact on the CPU. But I'm also going to look up now it's a way to boost the fan speed on the CPU after this test. So I'm not going to sit through all this, but I'm just going to report back with the results. Just updated the drivers on the laptop for the graphics card to the very latest version, just in case, and to reset the settings, because I did a slight fan tune which on my desktop obviously worked fine, but on this it's not playing nicely. The other thing that's occurred to me, which I'm going to change in a minute, this is where the CPU fan intakes on the Thinkpad, and I've got it in a dock which is blocking exactly that. So once I've updated the drivers to the very latest version, 20.1.2 or something, I'm going to try the benchmark again, but without that CPU fan block. I don't know if it's worth putting the stress on my system of just repeatedly benchmarking it, but I think for now I'm probably going to move on to benchmarking some games now. Sorry if this has been a bit unstructured, and I don't know how it'll look when you actually are watching it, but to make this, it's a lot of work. It's taken a lot of time, but it's worth it. And I shall be back post haste.